Hey, I'm Taryn, the remote yogi, and today I'm in the beautiful countryside of northern Thailand, just away for the weekend, doing some solo time. But I thought I would share my practice with you today because a request came in this morning on my YouTube. I had a request come in to do an inversion class on my YouTube channel, so I thought I would walk you guys through a kind of beginner level inversion class. We're not going to be leaping into headstands today, but I'm going to be giving you the preparatory poses to be able to get there eventually and building that shoulder strength to get you there. So an inversion is any kind of yoga pose that has your hips above the heart and the heart above the head. So really, this is any kind of standing forward fold. This is downward facing dog, dolphin pose. And then it works its way up to things like shoulder stands, headstands, and handstands, and all the fancy, scorpions and things that you see. But really, an inversion is just any time that you're upside down, which gives you a ton of different benefits, all of which you can read about on my blog that will accompany this at theremoteyogi.blog. But primarily today, I want to focus on the different perspective that we're able to gain by going upside down, whether just, visually, but also internally, we're able to see things a little differently. But also, it just feels really great on the spine. So typically, we have all of our pressure rested on the lower spine. And when we get upside down, we're able to drop all the pressure in the opposite direction, alleviating the pressure on the low spine and actually stretching into the upper spine and neck, which feels delicious. So join me on the mat. We're actually going to begin standing today and then work our way down. I'll meet you there. Okay, wonderful. Let's just take the time here to get a little bit loosened up and then we'll find our breath. So feet a little bit wider than hips. We're going to be doing a lot of shoulder work today, so I just want to open these arms up really good. Just take some nice arm circles here. A few in each direction. And I should also mention I'm usually mic'd and I didn't bring it with me on this solo trip. So hopefully the sound is good and we don't have all the barking dogs that I hear in the background. And then just start to sway the arms out a little side to side, getting a little bit of twist into the spine, but really gentle still. Awesome, a few rolls. And the other way. Okay, great. You can keep the feet wide if you'd like, or step them in a little bit. We're just going to take a moment to gather our breath here. So maybe bringing the hands onto the belly so we can practice that belly's breath, yogi's breath. Allow the eyes to close here. And as you inhale, start to expand the belly with the breath. I always think of inflating a giant balloon. And then on the exhale, use the abdominal muscles to press the air back out. So you're trying to pull the abs up into the spine. And keep moving with the breath here, starting to slow things down. Maybe making the inhalation slightly shorter than the exhalations, really allowing that relaxation to come in as we start to engage the parasympathetic nervous system with the deep exhale. And just maybe take this moment to set the expectation for today's class or the intention of seeing things differently, whether you're going through something that you need a different perspective on, or you just need to physically see your room flipped upside down, whatever it is, just set that as your intention for today's practice as we get upside down a few times, how that can change your point of view. And also just set the time right now to Remember that your practice is exactly where it should be today. So not allowing yourself to judge where you feel like you should be, where you aren't, or anything like that. Just do what you can today and know that you did perfectly for your body today. You always are showing up and doing your best, even if that changes each day. Awesome. Allowing the eyes to open here. We should be fully connected with the breath. Let's reach the hands behind the back. Maybe again, step the feet a little bit wide. We'll pull the shoulder blades together as we clasp fingers. If you can't grab hands here, maybe grab opposite elbows would be just as great. And pulling the shoulder blades back, feet a little bit wide. Let's just roll the head side to side. So we're not doing full circles here because we've got that added pressure of the shoulder stretch. Just a little bit side to side. And when you're ready for your first inversion of the day, we'll bring it center, bend the knees nice and deep here, start to lift the hands up high as we drop the head down. Allowing the head to fully rest down here, breathing in through the nose, maybe heavy exhale through the mouth, sinking in. Good, slowly coming all the way back up to the top here. Shake it out. Good, and I want us to start opening the shoulders because when we're doing something like shoulder stand and headstand, we've got to have open shoulders to be able to get ourselves in the right position, as well as strong shoulders. We're going to do a little bit of strength training, but also I want to open up. So let's bring the hands up. We're going to make little thumbs up, and then point the thumbs backwards. And we're just going to gently pulse our arms back, trying to start opening things up here. We'll do this 20 times. So you want to go as far back as it feels like you're hitting an edge, but not to a point of pain. Just like really opening up, nice and gentle here. Let's go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Awesome. Bring those hands up. A little more tiring than you'd think, right? Grab that right wrist, pull it over to the left side as you press the hips over to the right. I'm surrounded by flies today, so don't mind me like swatting things away. And we'll reach over to the opposite side here. Again, hips are reaching to the left as you pull that arm over to the right. And all the way back to center. Go ahead and release. Shake things out a moment. Go ahead and bring the feet a little bit closer together here. And we're just going to start to flow a little bit with the breath, get some gentle movement. So feet can either be hip distance apart here or the big toes together. Whatever feels more comfortable for you, but make sure that your feet are in like a straight line, an equal sign rather than pointed in or out. On the inhale, let's reach the hands up overhead, pulling those shoulder blades down away from the ears. Exhale, folding forward. You might bend the knees gentle here, allowing the head to drop down. On the inhale, walking the hands up the legs, look forward. Press that tailbone back behind you, like you're making a shelf. Exhale, fold it back down. Let everything drop. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Let's do this a few more times. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, folding down. Allow everything to become heavy. Inhale, finding that flat back. Look forward. Exhale, folding back down. Inhale up. And exhale, hands to heart center. One more. Feel free to add a little back bend here as we reach the hands high. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, reach, maybe adding that back bend. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. Go ahead and step the feet pretty wide on the mat here. So we're making about 3.5 feet, whatever feels good for you. I'm really short, so I don't go that far. My toes are turned in slightly, and I'm placing the hands on the hips here just to give me some guidance. We're gonna fold into this nice forward fold, but we're not gonna take it all the way down. So keeping the hands on the hips here, try to keep that chest open and forward the whole way down. Good. When you get about halfway down, let's drop the hands. See if you can find the floor here. If you can't find the floor without bending the knees, that's okay. Go ahead and bend the knees and drop the hands down. I want to focus more on a nice little twist here. So keeping the right hand down on the ground in between the shoulders, directly in front of your chest, go ahead and gently lift this left arm up towards the ceiling. If that feels too tight on your shoulder, you can always keep the hand on the hip, but remember, we're trying to open the shoulders so we can do those prep poses for headstand. If you're pretty flexible here already, you can always reach across for the opposite ankle. And gently lowering back down, let's take it to the other side. So again, one of my favorite things about inversions is how good it feels in the spine. So I like to add a little bit of twisting as well to just kind of give added benefit. Good, lowering back down, looking forward. A little bit of bend in the knees here as the hands come back to the hips and we bring it up to the top. Awesome. Let's step it back up to the front of our mat, turning forward. Step it up. Let's flow our way down onto the mat. So inhale, reaching the hands high. Exhale, folding down. Inhale, looking forward, walking the hands up the legs. And exhale, hands coming down. Step it back to the top of a push-up. Lowering down nice and gentle here. And my foot is a little messed up, so I'm not going to be putting much pressure on my left foot today. Don't mind me. On the inhale, press into the hands. Lift up for cobra pose. Elbows are staying tucked in. Open the shoulders, open the chest. We'll hold here for a moment. Maybe on the next exhale, looking over to the left side. Inhale back to center. Exhale over to the right. And back to center. Awesome. Let's do a gentle inversion here as we lift up onto the knees. Press the tailbone high. Maybe walk the fingertips forward a little bit as we bring forehead down to the ground for puppy pose. Allow some deep inhales, heavy exhales here. Awesome. Slowly walking up onto the hands. We'll sit back onto the feet unless this doesn't feel good for you, in which case you can stay up on the knees. So whatever feels right. Sitting back on to the feet, and you can tuck your toes if that feels better. There's really no right or wrong here. We're just going to open up the shoulders again. So we were doing this one before, kind of opening back. This is slightly different. We're going to clasp the thumbs together here and bring them up overhead. Same thing here is we're going to pulse the arms back 20 times. Just be more mindful. This one's a little bit more intense and a little bit more tight on the shoulders. So just see what feels good. Don't throw it back too far. When you're ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Awesome. Bring it out. Reach the arms behind like we did earlier. You might even come all the way up onto the knees if you're not there ready for this one, and just gentle rolling of the head, pulling back the shoulders. Awesome. Keeping the arms where they're at, maybe grabbing opposite elbows if that doesn't feel good. See if you can start to bring the head down to the ground. So we're bringing the top of the head onto the earth. You can release the hands if you need to, bring them down to earth, or you can keep reaching them up overhead. Again, this is an inversion pose. We're prepping ourselves to be able to get into something like a headstand. We're putting all the pressure on the top of the head and allowing this part of the body to sink forward. We'll see if that feels good. We're also spending some time to open the shoulders. Take some heavy breaths here. Inhaling through the nose, maybe exhaling through the mouth. And again, you can keep the hands down if that feels better. And slowly coming all the way up, we can sit back onto the heels for a moment. So the reason I have you opening the shoulders so much is because we're going to try a couple of headstand variations without going all the way into headstand. So one of the ways to do that is called a tripod, in which case we'll make like a tripod on the floor where we've got our arms at a 90-degree angle and our head is kind of the center of the tripod, so making this little triangle shape. So that's one option, in which case the shoulders won't need to be as open, but still have enough room to play. The other one that we'll do is clasping the hands up behind the head. We'll want to get to a place where the elbows are almost directly underneath the shoulders. So this really requires us to be able to open pretty far back. So if you find that your arms can't really go much past here, you might have a harder time doing this version of headstand. And that's okay. We're going to just really gently play with it today, but that's why we're starting to open up, because we want to make sure we can move these shoulders back. Now let's start to build some strength. Coming back into tabletop here, let's walk the hands forward, finding our way up to a downward facing dog. Now again, this is an inversion pose. We're also trying to open the shoulders here as we drop our chest in between. And we're building a little bit of shoulder strength. Now I'm going to encourage you to kind of work on some upper body strength even more. So see what it feels like if we slowly drop to one elbow. So we're coming down into like a half dolphin and then drop to the other. So this is called dolphin pose here. And notice I've got a little bend in my knees. I'm not worried about straight legs. I'm worried about my arms here. So drop to the dolphin and then see if we can press yourself back up to downward facing dog. So play around with this a little bit. Again, just building some strength here and a nice inversion. World's upside down. And just see if you can build some strength here. Ooh, it's a lot of work, I know. Good. When you're ready here, pressing all the way up to the push-up, just do a couple of these, pressing all the way up to your downward facing dog. We're going to do a couple of push-ups. So from here, bending into the elbows, allow the elbows to open out to the side as we press in. This is kind of like doing a shoulder press, but we're doing it in this nice inversion. So we're getting that added benefit of the shoulder press, and we've got the inversion upside down. So checking out our perspective here as we bend the elbows, lift back up. And of course you're working other muscles as well, but we're focusing on building this upper body strength. Awesome. Lowering back down onto the knees, sitting back, shake out those arms. Beautiful. Feeling good? All right, we're going to do one more pose to kind of help engage the shoulders and to build a little bit of core, because when we're holding something like a headstand or a handstand at some point, we're really, of course, using the shoulder strength to get us to hold up there and not put pressure on the head. But then it comes up to the core to be able to hold us in that position and keep our balance. So the core is super important here. So we're gonna do something that combines both of them. If you're wanting to get good at headstands, handstands, that sort of thing, I really suggest doing some planks. So I'm gonna stay on the forearms today because these are a bit more challenging to me. But if this is too intense, you can come up onto the hands. We're gonna stay on the forearms here, tuck the toes, and bring it up into a nice plank pose. So notice that I'm not letting my tailbone reach up off the ground. I've got my tailbone tucked. My belly is drawn in, and this foot I know is a little funky, just ignore it. And I'm pressing up into my shoulders. So I'm trying to fill the space between my shoulders. So I'm trying to like make a little mound on the upper part of my back. So see if you can fill space there. So kind of pressing up. I've got this nice long line with the body, and I'm looking just directly in front of me between the hands. Breathing here, pulling in that core. Take another long breath here. Awesome, and we'll bring it all the way back down. You guys ready for the first step into our headstand? We're going to play with two different variations today. One is the tripod, which is a little bit easier on the shoulders, and the other one is we're just going to play with walking into this kind of clasped pose. I can't remember the name of this one. I'll figure it out. So of course the tripod's going to be an easier way to get started, but I'm going to start you out here because we're just going to practice walking into it, and then with tripod we might try a tiny bit of balance, okay? So let's bring our hands onto, or bring our forearms down onto the earth, just like we were doing before for our plank pose, but now we're going to clasp the hands together here, and I want the top of my head to come onto the mat, rested up by my hands. So it's kind of like my hands are cradling my head here, and my shoulders should be directly above my elbows, so it makes this nice little cushion. So noticing here that it's kind of hard to get your head fully on the ground because your arms are so long. That's kind of the point. We want to be able to be in a spot where from this pose I could press into my arms and shoulders and lift my head off the ground, because we're not really wanting to put a ton of pressure on the actual head that might cause neck issues. So that's why this position is really nice, in my opinion, because we take more pressure off the head than we would in a tripod pose. So from here, we're just gonna tuck the toes and lift up. So you start to bring that pressure onto the top of the head, and just see how far forward you can walk the feet. And that's all we're doing today, just seeing how far forward we can walk the feet, holding here, using your core, maybe just lifting one leg off the ground, and then the other. Just see what that feels like. And walking it back out, coming back down. Take a breather here. And just play around with this a few times. Take your time. There's no rush here, just playing around. So when we walk this pose in, when we're ready to prep for an actual headstand, we want to get our hips right above the shoulders as much as possible. So let that be your aim, but that doesn't need to be where you're at today, right? That's just eventual goal. That's when you know you're pretty ready for that headstand, when you can get those hips, see how they're right above me? That way, one day I could lift off, right? But we're not doing that today. Unless it's in your practice and you want to do a few headstands, go ahead. If not, continue to play for another moment or so. Take your time, breathe. We're just focusing on walking in and walking back out, using that core. And when you're ready, we're going to meet in a child's pose with the knees together here, allowing the arms to come back behind, forehead onto the mat. And just return to the breath. Awesome. Before we go into our tripod version, let's just take a moment to kind of flow things out, move around a moment. So walking the hands here in front, let's tuck the toes, lift off to downward facing dog. Maybe just walk things out, move the hips around a little bit, shake the head, yes and no. Bring it forward into a plank as we lower down onto the belly. Lift up for that gentle cobra pose, elbows stay tucked in. Breathing here, hold for a moment. Awesome, and gently coming all the way back up. Cool, so if you want to play around with the other headstand instead of trying tripod, you can, depending on where your practice is at. With tripod, we're going to attempt a little bit of balance or not, okay? So with tripod position, my hands are flat on the earth, and I'll bring my head down to where I'm making this nice triangle. My head's the top of the triangle, my hands are the bottom, but noticing here, I've tried to get my elbows stacked directly over my wrists, so I'm making this 90-degree shape. So you might need to walk the hands closer or further away from the body to get this is what we're looking for. This is like a nice 90 degrees. So I've got the most support here for my upper body. So you might do just what we did before and just lift up and walk in, see how it feels. You might start to balance one elbow or one knee onto the elbow or the other onto the elbow. So this is just us getting prepped for headstand. You can keep just walking in and playing, or you can try to find that balance, bringing elbows onto the head. Now noticing here, just like in the opposite position, if I start to feel that I have too much weight in my head, see if I can bring more weight into my hands, right? I should be able to slightly lift off here. See how my head came off the ground? Because I've got enough strength in my arms to be able to do that. So if you're in a point where you're putting all the pressure in your head, you're not really able to put any weight into the arms yet, take your time with this and slow it down. We don't want to hurt the neck, so maybe you don't lift your feet off the ground. Okay? Easy peasy. Play around with that for a few more seconds. And when you're ready, again, we'll return to a child's pose, keeping the knees together or bringing the knees wide, whichever one feels nice to you. Awesome, that was really good work. I know especially for beginners, that could be really intimidating and it's scary. So baby steps, we're not trying to jump into things. We're trying to take it nice and slow and know that it'll take time to build not only the flexibility to open up for a headstand, but the strength in the shoulders and the core and just continuing to play around, right? Let's slowly find our way with the legs forward, coming down onto our backs here. And I'm turning around so you guys can better see my shoulder stand in a second. All right, all the way down. Beautiful. All right, so all the way onto our backs here. Let's just take a moment to bring the knees up into the chest, rocking side to side. So while things like headstand and handstands are typically more active poses for an inversion to get a lot of energy flowing and things moving, things like shoulder stand tend to be a little bit more cooling as we start to slow down. So I'm going to walk you through shoulder stand, but again, knowing that if you don't have the right flexibility here in the neck and shoulders yet, you might not come all the way up today, and that's okay. Also, if you've had any kind of neck injury, please just skip this one entirely and just kind of enjoy maybe rocking side to side or playing with the feet. Just allow yourself to enjoy this on the floor. Or you can try baby. You can try the baby, like a preparatory version of shoulder stand. Okay, so for the gentler version of this practice, we're going to lift our hips up off the ground, bring our hands to catch our lower back, and then just kind of hang here with the knees bent. into the chest. So kind of lifting up here, so you're rolling up onto the shoulders. Lift up, hands come to the low spine, and you can stay right here. So we're not bringing all the pressure into the neck just yet. This is a great place to be if you're a beginner to shoulder stand. You can stay right here. You can play around with maybe straightening up from here. Or you can start to walk into full shoulder stand if it feels good on your neck. So you can start to walk the hands further down the spine so that hips start to stack almost over the shoulders. And then from here, maybe straightening up. But if that doesn't feel good, bring it back down and hold the beginner pose. No big deal here. We'll hold this for a few more breaths. And if you're all the way up in shoulder stand, you want to play around with plow pose. We just gently bring the feet overhead to the ground behind us. Or if you want to stay in your gentle pose, you can do that too. Or even in the gentle pose, you might just play with straightening out the legs, see what that feels like. As long as you're not in any pain here and you're just playing, that's perfect. And when you're ready, with control, slowly lower everything back onto the earth here. Take a moment to grab the knees into the chest, rocking a little bit side to side. And bringing the legs out in front here. Coming up onto the elbows here, see if you can slide your hands kind of underneath the top of your bum and your lower back. So you're kind of making this little diamond shape with your fingers and your thumbs on the low spine, keeping the elbows as tucked in as we can, and just see if you can get that head to drop back. So you can just stay pretty high and not drop too far, or you can come all the way onto the top of the head. This is called fish pose, but play around with as far or as gentle as you want to keep it. So you can just stay here, you can try to come all the way on top of the head. There's no right or wrong here. Good. Coming up, just roll out the arms and come all the way back onto the spine. So just the opposite neck stretch from what we were doing in shoulder stand, which feels really nice. Bringing the knees into the chest here, just gently rock side to side. Bringing the arms out like a big T, or if you've got a couch in the way, maybe cactus arms. Just start to drop both knees over to one side. You might roll up onto that opposite hip and just relax here. As we start to really cool down the body, just allow yourself to rest into this pose. Heavy breaths in and out through the nose. And when you're ready, take both knees to center and then drop them over to the other side. Looking back over opposite arm. If it feels okay on the neck, if not, keep it neutral or maybe look at the same direction that you're twisted towards. Good, and coming all the way back to center, we take my all-time favorite pose, happy baby. Bring the knees back into the chest. Lift the feet up like you're going to walk on the ceiling. So the feet are pretty flat. And see if you can reach up and grab the outsides or the insides of the feet here, pulling the knees wide towards the armpits. And we'll just rock side to side. So if you can't grab the feet just yet, maybe grabbing onto the ankles and still just kind of enjoying this little massage on the lower back. Trying to open the hips wider, the knees closer towards the ground as we rock side to side. Awesome. Releasing here. We're going to come into our final Savasana. If you want to lie flat on your back as per usual, do what feels good. But I'm going to use my couch here to do a super gentle inversion with my feet up on the couch. So if you're at home and you don't have a couch nearby, but you've got a wall is great too. So maybe put your legs up the wall or put your feet on a couch. And it's just going to help to bring the pressure again in the opposite direction for the low back. So usually all the pressure is going down this way. When we're able to put the weight of the legs into the low back, it just kind of helps sink it into the earth and give it some extra support here. So it feels really yummy. Get comfortable however it looks for you. Allow the arms to rest down by the side, pulling the shoulders back. The chin slightly tucked in to allow the back of the neck to grow long. Or you can always place the hands on the belly if that feels more comfortable for you. And just take this time here to end the practice with some self-care as we close in Shavasana. Just taking the time to notice the body becoming heavier, allowing the ground below you to fully support the body. There's no need to hold anything up. You can relax. The floor has got you. Let the breath become natural and soft. And just notice that the thoughts will float in and out of the head. You're human, it's normal, the brain is designed to think. And just notice the thoughts and let them pass in and out without judgment, without getting involved. Maybe listening to the birds sing, allowing yourself to become soft and heavy. And if you'd like to pause this video and stay here for longer, I'd highly suggest it. It feels so good. Just allow yourself this time to rejuvenate, to come back. So if you're ready to wake up, maybe start wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe roll the head side to side. If you're using a wall or a couch, maybe pulling yourself away here as we roll to one side, and just hold this fetal position for a moment. Giving yourself another opportunity here to connect within, to slow down. And when you're ready, we'll start to press ourselves up to a seat as we close out the practice today. Coming up to a gentle seat here. Take the arms out in front, bringing the right arm across the left shoulder and left arm across the right shoulder. Squeeze it in as deep as you can. Give yourself a nice hug. Oh yeah, we're ending with a hug. Thank yourself for getting upside down, for changing perspectives. Be grateful for everything that your body was able to accomplish. These are no easy tasks to get fully upside down and in a potential headstand. So hug it in, feel good. And release. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this class was brought to you by a suggestion on one of my YouTube comments. So if you have any kind of yoga practice that you're looking for, something that might be helpful, send me a note on YouTube or Facebook, on the blog, wherever you're watching this. Send me an email, chat with me on Instagram. Let's see what I could be sending your way. And if you're looking for more videos and meditations and my group coaching practices, head over to the Remote Yogi Tribe. This is where I'm able to give weekly classes. There's over 100 videos in there, and the community that we've been able to build in that space is magical. We do live calls every month. We really have grown into this beautiful tribe around yoga and meditation and personal development and spiritual practice. So it's a great place to be. You can get all that information at theremoteyogi.blog, or feel free to reach out if you've got any questions about it. And of course, keep up with all the latest and greatest on the blog, theremoteyogi.blog, for all my free resources and videos like this. I'm out with a different video every Friday, whether it's interviews or me rambling about something I care about or me doing some yoga and meditation. So I'll see you next Friday. Thank you so much for letting me teach today. Namaste.